Chosen ones, have you ever wondered why your journey has never followed the normal path? While others crumble under grief, drown in anger, or lose themselves chasing revenge, something different happened to you. Something rare, something powerful. You didn't stay in the pain, you transformed it. Most people go through stages when life breaks them. First comes the grief, then the anger, then the burning desire to get even. But your story is different. Instead of getting trapped in those cycles, you stepped over them. You walked past the darkness that stops most people in their tracks. You turned your wounds into wisdom and your struggles into strength. That is why your presence feels different. That is why your mindset intimidates people who are still fighting battles you already conquered. You didn't become bitter, you became legendary. Chosen ones don't waste time trying to destroy enemies. They rise so high that enemies become irrelevant. They don't chase revenge, they become the proof that pain can create power. And when someone skips the stages that normally break people, they unlock a level of growth that few can understand. If you've ever felt like your struggles were preparing you for something greater, if you've noticed that you grow stronger while others fall apart, then this message is for you. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover will explain why your journey has never been ordinary. And if you resonate with this message, make sure you subscribe to this channel and join a community of chosen ones who are rising above the ordinary every single day. The unusual path of the chosen one. Most people who face pain move through a predictable pattern. First comes grief, then anger, and finally the burning desire for revenge. It is a cycle that traps millions of people for years, sometimes even for a lifetime. But chosen ones are different. Your path has never followed the usual script. While others were consumed by their emotions, something inside you quietly refused to stay there. You felt the pain, yes, but you didn't let it define you. Instead of collapsing under the weight of betrayal, rejection, or hardship, you stepped over it like a warrior walking through fire. This is what makes your journey so rare. You didn't stay stuck in the emotional storm. You didn't waste years trying to prove people wrong or plotting revenge against those who hurt you. Instead, you turned inward, you learned, you grew, and without even realizing it, you were already walking the road towards something much greater. Many people misunderstand this about chosen ones. They assume that strength means you never felt the pain, but that's not true. You felt it deeply. In fact, you probably felt it more intensely than most people ever will. The difference is that you refused to let it control your future. You understood something powerful that many people never realize. Revenge might satisfy the ego for a moment, but growth transforms your entire life. And because you chose growth over bitterness, something extraordinary began to happen. Your struggles started shaping you into someone wiser, stronger, and more aware than before. That's the moment the shift began. While others were still fighting emotional battles, you were already evolving. You weren't just healing, you were becoming legendary. Why pain didn't break you? Pain has a way of revealing who someone truly is. For many people, pain becomes a prison. It traps their thoughts, shapes their identity, and slowly turns their heart bitter. But for chosen ones, pain often becomes the doorway to transformation. You may not have realized it at the time, but every difficult moment you faced was shaping your inner strength. Each betrayal, disappointment, and lonely night was quietly building a resilience that most people never develop. While others were asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you began asking a more powerful question. What is this trying to teach me? That shift in perspective changes everything. Chosen ones have an unusual ability to extract wisdom from suffering. Instead of becoming victims of their circumstances, they become students of life itself. This doesn't mean the journey was easy. There were moments when the pain felt overwhelming. There were nights when you questioned everything. There were times when you felt completely alone. But even in those moments, something inside you kept moving forward. It's almost as if your spirit knew that the pain wasn't permanent. It was preparation. Preparation for a higher level of awareness. Preparation for a stronger version of yourself. Preparation for the purpose that was waiting ahead. Pain is one of life's greatest teachers, but only for those who are willing to learn from it. And you did. Instead of letting your struggles turn you into someone bitter or resentful, you allowed them to refine you. Like fire shaping steel, your hardships strengthened your character. That's why you stand where you are today, not broken, but transformed. Because the truth is this: pain didn't destroy you. Pain revealed your power. The power of skipping revenge. One of the most powerful things a chosen one can do is refuse the temptation of revenge. When someone hurts you deeply, the natural reaction is to want them to feel the same pain. It's human nature. But chosen ones eventually realize something profound. Revenge keeps you emotionally tied to the very people who tried to break you. Every thought about getting even gives them space in your mind and energy in your life. It's like carrying a heavy chain that prevents you from moving forward. When you chose not to seek revenge, you unknowingly broke that chain. You freed yourself. While others waste years trying to settle scores, chosen ones focus on something far more powerful: personal evolution. Your energy didn't go into destroying others, it went into building yourself. And that is a completely different level of strength. Revenge may feel powerful in the moment, but growth is infinitely more powerful in the long run. Imagine two people who were betrayed. One spends years plotting revenge, constantly reliving the pain. The other decides to focus on becoming stronger, wiser, and more successful. 10 years later, which life would you rather have? The one still trapped in the past, or the one that transformed pain into greatness? Chosen ones instinctively choose the second path. They don't need revenge because their growth becomes the ultimate response. Your success, your peace, and your personal evolution speak louder than any act of revenge ever could. And the most interesting part: when you truly move on, the people who once hurt you often realize they lost something rare. But by then, you're already too far ahead. Because legends don't waste time fighting yesterday's battles. They build tomorrow's legacy. Why your silence became your power. One of the most misunderstood traits of chosen ones is their silence. People often assume that silence means weakness or submission. But in reality, silence can be one of the most powerful forms of strength. When others expected you to argue, defend yourself, or retaliate, you chose something different. You chose peace. You realized that not every battle deserves your energy. Some conflicts are distractions designed to pull you away from your growth. So instead of engaging in endless drama, you stepped back and focused on something more meaningful: your evolution. Silence gave you clarity. It allowed you to observe situations without being consumed by them. While others were reacting emotionally, you were analyzing, learning, and adapting. That quiet observation became one of your greatest advantages. Because when you're silent, you notice things that loud people miss. You notice patterns in people's behavior. You see their true intentions. You recognize the difference between those who genuinely support you and those who secretly compete with you. Silence also protects your energy. Chosen ones understand that energy is one of their most valuable resources. Every unnecessary argument drains it. Every pointless conflict steals time and focus. By choosing silence, you preserved your strength, and that strength allowed you to grow faster than those around you. Eventually, something interesting happened. The same people who once misunderstood your silence began to respect it, because they realized that quiet confidence is far more powerful than loud insecurity. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. And that wisdom helped you move forward while others stayed trapped in noise and chaos. That's the quiet power of a chosen one. The moment you realized you were different, at some point in your journey, something shifted. You started noticing that you didn't think like everyone else. Situations that would normally trigger anger or revenge in other people no longer had the same effect on you. Instead of reacting emotionally, you found yourself observing life from a deeper perspective. You began asking bigger questions. Why do people repeat the same mistakes? Why do so many individuals remain stuck in cycles of negativity? And why did your own path seem so different? That realization can feel both empowering and isolating. Empowering because you start to understand your inner strength. Isolating because you realize that not everyone will understand your mindset. Chosen ones often experience this moment of awareness. It's the point where they recognize that their journey is guided by something deeper than ordinary circumstances. Your struggles were never random. Every challenge was shaping your perspective. Every setback was forcing you to grow in ways that others never had to. And slowly, you began to see the bigger picture. You weren't just surviving difficult situations, you were evolving through them. This awareness changes how you move through life. You stop reacting impulsively. You start thinking strategically. You understand that every experience, good or bad, contains a lesson. Most importantly, you stop trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Chosen ones eventually realize that their purpose is not to blend in with the crowd. Their purpose is to rise above it. And that realization marks the beginning of a completely new chapter. Because once you understand who you are, the world can never place limits. Your growth became your revenge. One of the most powerful realizations a chosen one eventually has is this: the greatest revenge is growth. Not revenge through anger, not revenge through destruction, but revenge through transformation. When people hurt you, betray you, or doubt you, they often expect one of two reactions. They expect you to collapse under the weight of pain, or they expect you to fight them with the same negativity they gave you. But when you choose growth instead, you completely change the game. While others are still trapped in the past, replaying old arguments and emotional wounds, you are building a future that has nothing to do with them. Your energy goes towards self-improvement, learning, healing, and becoming stronger than you were before. And that is something many people never see coming. The people who once underestimated you suddenly notice something different. You are calmer, you are wiser, you are more focused. The situations that used to disturb you no longer have the same effect. That is the quiet power of transformation. Growth does something incredible. It shifts your entire identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who was hurt. Instead, you begin to see yourself as someone who overcame. This shift is powerful because it changes how you move through life. You stop seeking validation from the people who doubted you. You stop explaining your worth. You stop trying to prove anything. Your life becomes the proof. And that kind of success speaks louder than revenge ever could. Chosen ones eventually realize that their destiny is too important to waste time on people who tried to bring them down. Instead of fighting the past, they build a future that rises far above it. That's why your growth became your revenge, and your peace became your victory. The strength of emotional mastery. Most people believe strength means reacting quickly and defending themselves at every moment. But real strength is something much deeper. Real strength is emotional mastery. Emotional mastery means understanding your feelings without letting them control your actions. It means recognizing anger, frustration, or sadness, but choosing wisdom instead of reaction. Chosen ones develop this ability over time. Your experiences forced you to grow emotionally. Situations that once overwhelmed you slowly became lessons in self-control and awareness. You learned to pause before reacting. You learned to observe your emotions instead of being consumed by them. And that simple shift made you incredibly powerful. When someone insults you, emotional mastery allows you to stay calm. When someone tries to provoke you, emotional mastery allows you to walk away. That kind of self-control is rare. Most people are constantly reacting to the world around them. Their moods change depending on what others say or do. Their emotions control their decisions, but chosen ones move differently. They understand that true power comes from within. When you control your emotions, you control your direction in life. You stop allowing external situations to dictate your peace. And the interesting thing is that people notice this. They may not always understand it, but they feel it. Your calm presence becomes intimidating to those who thrive on drama. Your patience becomes confusing to those who expect emotional reactions, because emotional mastery removes the power others have over you. Once you reach that level of control, very little can disturb your inner balance. And that is when people begin to realize something important about you. You are not easily shaken. You are not easily manipulated. You are not easily defeated. Because emotional mastery is one of the greatest strengths a chosen one can possess. Why your journey felt lonely. One of the hardest parts of the chosen one's path is the loneliness that often comes with it. When your mindset begins to change, your environment sometimes no longer feels the same. Conversations that once felt normal begin to feel shallow. People who once seemed close suddenly feel distant. This can be confusing at first. You might wonder why it feels like you are walking a path that few people around you truly understand. But this experience is actually very common for individuals who are growing spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Growth often requires distance. When you start evolving, you begin to see things differently. You recognize patterns in behavior, energy, and intention that you never noticed before. And because of this awareness, certain environments no longer align with who you are becoming. That doesn't mean you are better than others. It simply means you are moving in a different direction. Chosen ones often go through seasons of solitude because solitude creates clarity. When you are not constantly surrounded by noise, you begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You start understanding your purpose. You start discovering your true values, and you start realizing that being alone is not the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude can become one of your greatest teachers. During those quiet moments, you develop self-trust. You build confidence in your own decisions. You learn to rely on your inner guidance rather than outside validation. And eventually, you understand something powerful. Your path was never meant to look like everyone else's. Chosen ones often walk alone for a while because they are being prepared for something greater. And once you step fully into that purpose, the right people will naturally appear in your life. But first, you had to discover who you truly are. The birth of your legendary mindset. There comes a moment in the life of every chosen one when something shifts internally. You stop seeing yourself as someone who was once broken or hurt. Instead, you start seeing yourself as someone who has been shaped by experience. That shift is the birth of a legendary mindset. A legendary mindset doesn't come from comfort. It is forged through adversity. It is built through challenges that force you to grow beyond your limits. Every obstacle you faced contributed to this transformation. Every setback strengthened your resilience. Every difficult moment forced you to discover abilities you never knew you had. And slowly, your perspective began to change. Instead of fearing challenges, you started seeing them as opportunities to grow. Instead of avoiding difficulties, you began to face them with courage. That mindset is what separates chosen ones from the rest of the world. Most people seek comfort. They try to avoid anything that might disrupt their routine or challenge their beliefs. But legends understand something different. Growth lives outside of comfort. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming eventually become stepping stones towards something greater. And when you look back at your journey, you start to see the pattern. Nothing you experienced was wasted. Every lesson, every struggle, every moment of doubt was preparing you for the person you are becoming. That realization is incredibly powerful, because it means your past did not break you, it built you. And once you understand that, nothing in your future can truly stop you. That's the moment a chosen one steps fully into their legendary mindset. Why your story is just beginning. If you have made it this far on your journey, there is something important you need to understand. Your story is not ending, it is just beginning. Everything you experienced, the pain, the confusion, the challenges, was preparation. It was shaping your character, sharpening your awareness, and strengthening your resilience. Chosen ones are not defined by their struggles. They are defined by how they rise above them. And now that you have skipped the stages that trap most people, grief, anger, revenge, you are standing at the beginning of a completely new chapter. A chapter defined by wisdom, a chapter defined by purpose, a chapter defined by growth. The experiences that once felt like burdens have become your greatest teachers. The obstacles that once blocked your path have become stepping stones toward your destiny. And the strength you developed through those challenges is something no one can take away from you. That is the true power of the Chosen One. Your journey is not about proving others wrong. It is about becoming the strongest, wisest, and most authentic version of yourself. Because when someone transforms pain into purpose, they become unstoppable. And that is exactly what you are becoming. A legend in the making. Chosen Ones, if this message resonated with you, then you already know something deep inside your spirit has been guiding you all along. Your journey was never meant to look ordinary. While others remained trapped in cycles of pain, anger, and revenge, you chose something far more powerful. You chose growth. And that choice is what separates legends from the rest. The truth is, the world often misunderstands people like you. Your silence, your strength, your ability to rise above chaos. It confuses those who are still fighting battles within themselves. But remember this, you were never meant to fit into the crowd. You were meant to rise above it. Every struggle you faced was shaping you into the person you are becoming today. Every challenge was preparing you for a future greater than you once imagined. So keep growing, keep evolving, keep walking your path with confidence, because your story is still unfolding. And if this message spoke to you, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with another chosen one who needs to hear this today. This community is for those who refuse to stay ordinary, because here we don't just survive life's battles, we rise above them and become legends.